Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight we got a special one for all of you. We got Down Under from SA, baby, and we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to get into. I'm excited to have this conversation because I've been wanting to have Down Under on for a long time, and we're making it happen tonight. So you guys are all in for a fucking treat. But before we go any further, I need to take a quick second to talk about our sponsor, Sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, Sleefs.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to go and check out Sleefs. They've got all your athletic wear and gear covered. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, headbands, boots, mouth guards, and they've even got those dirty boxes that you always hear me raving about. Now, guys, you hear me say this all the time. Dirty boxes is the only boxes that I wear. I'm an active guy. I work full time. I podcast my ass off. I train at the gym. I run around after my 3 crazy kids and my crazy wife. Just kidding, darling. But these boxes stay dry, they stay fresh, and they've got funky designs on the front of them to keep that special person in your life giggling when the belt buckle comes undone at the end of the day. So go and check out sleeps.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you are tuning in, I appreciate it. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the bell to stay notified, tap that little red button and tap in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. It helps with our analytics. It helps us reach more amazing people with more amazing conversations. So get to clicking, get to tapping, get to all that good shit, and let's go. But without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Down Under, baby! Boom. And we're live. What's going on, brother? Thank you for joining us.
No worries.
Man, I got to say, bro, to start this off, that is one of the most glorious mullets I have ever seen. Actually, I'll call it what it actually is. It's a mullet, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I kind of feel like the mullet comes back every like 10 or 15 years.
I feel like when I started growing this one, the only one I've ever grown, the whole point of it was to be filthy and dirty, basically, to be down under, you know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I see kids everywhere doing it, and there's everywhere I go now, everyone's got a fucking mullet. It's like, I'm a trendsetter. What can I say?
That's it, man. But dude, getting into it, man. Like, let's really start, bro. Because like you and I, we've been on, I think, one show together in FWA. Yeah. I think last year we got to talk a little bit, but not a lot, man, because there was a lot going on that day. But dude, tell me, like, you know, getting into the business, bro. Like, how long have you been on the scene, you know, in Adelaide, you know, grinding away at this?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. So 4 years, a couple of days ago.
Yeah, right.
Well, I had a few matches on a New Year's show in Mount Gambier, but it was sort of like a festival show. They put rookies on it, etc. And then, yeah, a few days ago, yeah, it was the 4th year anniversary. I had a match, yeah, at the RCW house show with Katie Trey. So, yeah.
And 4 years in the business, man, like, coming into it, like, I understand you actually like spent a bit of time as a backyarder as well. Like, I know some pro wrestlers don't really want to admit to their time in the yard, bro. Like, where are you on that?
Look, as we'll probably get into in this chat,
yeah,
everyone does it. It's fine.
Mm.
Don't expect people to pay for it, and don't fucking put it out there. Basically, I didn't put it out there. I wasn't trying to get crowds there and be like, this is wrestling, It was just a heap of kids having fun, basically. Filming our little storylines and doing stupid shit, really.
But I always feel like deathmatch wrestling, to a certain extent, and I've had this conversation with a few guys and people that started off doing deathmatch wrestling, whereas, like, I'm 40, so, like, in the late 90s, early 2000s, like, and especially in the 90s when Mick Foley jumped off his house and the footage comes out and all that sort of stuff, like, not deathmatch, but I was going to say, like, backyard wrestling, like, it was always the most extreme shit, like the most violent shit, because, like, late 90s, early 2000s was all about everything was extreme this. Yeah. So, like, there was all these, like, crazy kids doing this, like, crazy gimmicks. And then it's like, that's the way I envisioned backyard wrestling until I started digging a little bit deeper only recently and finding out, like, there were people going out there and wrestling, like, Ring of Honor style, like, obviously not to the magnitude of, like, Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness, but they were putting on, like, matches of that sort of styling as well, which I was like, okay, this is surprising. I thought it was all, like, really heavy, violent weaponry and all that sort of stuff.
We definitely weren't doing that. I think, like, there was about 6 guys and 6 belts.
Everyone had a title.
There was no rules. Every match was just, there was I'm born and raised on a farm. So
yeah,
out the farm, we had a circle trampoline that was joined to a rectangle trampoline. On the other side, we had a swing set that was joined to the trampoline. So the swing set was kind of like the top rope. The rectangle trampoline was kind of like the top rope, because you get a run up and you jump off that one to do your fucking high spots. Not high spots, but your big moves. We had 2 tractor tire tubes on the outside, and they were fucking dangerous. Like, you get suplexed off the trampoline onto them, you don't know if you're landing, like, in the pergola, on your head, on your feet. You don't know. And then, like, we'd do stupid matches, like, we'd be like, this is a real match. It was just called The Real Match. So we had a set of boxing gloves.
And you shot on each other?
You did rock, paper, scissors, because everyone was a right hand. It was rock, paper, scissors, so he got the right glove. And I still remember my mate knocked me out because he had the right glove. And I come to and just got up and swung at him and punched him in the back of the head. He went off the trampoline, and I didn't know that the match was finished. So I just got up and took a swing at him. He was just getting off the trampoline to go get help.
Oh, that's some wild shit. But, like, did you ever get any serious injuries doing that sort of stuff? Because, man, like, I feel like with that sort of stuff, there's so, like, the line of injury is very small.
Yeah, well, I never did. I mean, I got bumps and bruises. Like, trampolines, how they work. You get the wrong bounce. I still remember, like, we'd do it all on the fly, but this one time with my brother, I was like, right, we're going to choreograph this. We're going to go move for move. We're going to plan this whole match. And then I went and grabbed my dad, and I was like, come watch this match. First suplex, I bounced straight off the trampoline. We had all these big rocks around the edge of the garden out the farm. And I just went head first. I don't even think I got my arms out in front of me. Straight into a rock, busted my head open. And he just goes, you're a dickhead. Walked straight back. I'm like, no, we still got the rest of the match to go. And, like, I still remember, so, like, we had this old video camera, and we used to wrestle in town as well. We had, like, a caravan and a mattress and a ladder. So we'd, like, wrestle in the caravan and jump off of it and shit. And so we'd film the intro by just pausing the camera, put someone in the stop, go again, pause. Like, that's how we made our intros and shit. And, like, there was this match, because I was always down under, always.
Yeah.
Till I was like, we need another wrestler. So I got a rashie, like swimming rashie. I cut one sleeve off and I put eye holes in it and put that over my head. And I was the ultimate ninja. And I'd, like, obviously I can't speak Japanese, but I make it sound like I was. Yeah. And there was this. My mate was on his hands and knees, and I spin kicked him straight in the jaw, like audibly. You could hear it just go, and then you just see, and then it just instantly switches to we're back both standing again because we just paused it. And there's about an hour of crying and shit in between that spell, but it's crazy.
Man, that's nuts. Like, but I feel like, growing up on a farm and stuff like that, like you've just got like that country craziness, which is almost like, yeah, hold my beer, watch this. You know what I mean? Like, let's get into it. But like, how was your dad? Like, obviously he's sitting there calling you a dumbass for going rock, like head first into the rock. But like, when you started doing this shit, like, was he just like, fuck it, kids, or was he just going, what the fuck? Like, where was he at with it?
I mean, he's pretty chill with most stuff, but like my mum would like ban me from wrestling. That was my punishment. Ban me from wrestling, couldn't watch it, couldn't play with my wrestling figures, couldn't do nothing. Like she knew that was like my life. So it was like that was the best punishment every time. So
like 4 years ago when you go and break in and really try and do this and really start training, were they like going, was this like obviously it wasn't a big surprise to them for you to go, okay, I'm going to go and train to be a professional wrestler now, not just a backyarder?
I think it was a big surprise to anyone in my life at that point because I had a thriving, because I'm a mechanic, I started my own business and that was all going great. I was getting a lot of work, flat out, and basically I shut it down to do this, and everyone's like, "You're fucking crazy! Like, what are you doing?" Like, the original plan was to move to Roxby Downs, which I did, and work in the mines for 12 months and just save bulk cash, and then move to Melbourne and train with MCW because Jake Andrew Wyther grew up in the same town as me, so I know him pretty well, and yeah, I just thought that was the place to be because I hadn't seen much of Australian wrestling. Like growing up, the only thing you would see if you Googled it was AWF, and I'm like, no offense, but it wasn't the greatest, and I was just like, well, I'm gonna have to go to the States to do this if this is the only thing in Australia. And then I went to House of Hardcore, and it was pretty shit, to be honest.
That's Dreamer's gig, right?
Yeah, it was pretty crap show. And there was all these guys on it I didn't know. Like, there was Grim and, like, I know, yeah, Grim took work Carlito that night. And I was like, these guys are really good. Like, who are they? And then as I was coming out, there was a guy handing out flyers for ICW Dark Days. It was Zach Sabbath versus Grim. And I'm like, oh, whatever, some shit Australian promotion. So, yeah, I just looked at their stuff on YouTube and I'm like, holy shit, they're actually good. Like, what the fuck? I didn't know anything about this. And then, just followed them and saw how to try out. And, yeah, I was in Roxby by then. So, did the tryout, got in. I was working crazy roster up there. So, Roxby Downs is about 600 Ks from Adelaide. Yeah. So, I'd finish work on Monday. I'd have 4 days off. So I'd drive to Adelaide Tuesday morning. I'd train Tuesday night. I'd go watch Wednesday night because that was pro night. Have a day off Thursday. Then I'd train Friday and sort of finish 9 to 10 o'clock-ish. And then I'd drive back to Roxby, get there just in time to have breakfast and go back to work. So that's
commitment, bro. That's like some old school paying your dues type, training and stuff, like where I think like you don't really hear a lot of that where people are like sacrificing to get to that point. Whereas like you hear a lot of like the old time veterans like Mick Foley driving like X amount of hours to go and sleep in his car to do it. And I admire someone's level of commitment to do that, especially when you're doing hard yakka type of work and you get 4 days off to kick back and relax, and you decide to go and take bumps and really learn, and then even to go and watch like the pro class as well. That's someone who's taken it seriously.
Yeah, well, basically that's why I ended up moving to Adelaide, because I can't keep on doing this. Like, yeah, it was bad. Just falling asleep on the road, waking up wrong side of the road. You know, like I was like, nah,
Scary shit.
I'm gonna die basically because I'm hopeless at staying awake at the best of times. But yeah, to your point, I do notice a lot now that rookies just seem to not put the effort in. Like they might put the effort in at training, but then you don't see them at shows. And it's like, why the fuck aren't you at shows? Do you not love this? Like, wouldn't you be at everything you could? Like, it's just crazy.
It's interesting because I had a young guy who's kind of like a trainee message me the other day, and he's like, "Hey, what are some good schools I can go to?" Because the school I'm at is closing or whatever, they're having a hiatus. And I said, okay, yeah, I'd recommend here. Like, you know, from what I've been told, like I'm not a trained wrestler, but I'm around it a fair bit, so I understand and I know what's good, and I know who veterans are and proven stuff. So I'd sit there and I'd recommend. Oh yeah, but that's too far for me to drive, which is probably like a 45-minute drive for this dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then I hear your story, who's driving like 600 kilometers just for an opportunity to go and learn how to do a back bump and a forward. You know what I mean? Like that to me just shows the level of dedication of someone who's taking it seriously and someone who's just like, you know what, I'm just fucking around with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it just, yeah. I almost put it down to, I don't know, I might get shit for this, but society in general is just getting real soft, and the trainers are almost too scared to like reinforce that, you know, be at the fucking shows. This is your job. Come set up, do this stuff. When I was a rookie, I was shit scared to miss stuff because I'm like, if I'm not there, they're not seeing me. 100%. Like I'm going to look like I'm not putting the effort in that the other guys are putting in, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's just got a bit soft. But
you know what? We had a conversation about this last night with Robbie Zuko and Tristan Slade, where we were like talking about different generations. Like the three of us are all like, you know, I'm probably the youngest at 40. These guys are a couple years older than me, but we were talking about like when we were growing up. It's like getting teased and shit like that was just a part of growing up. You know what I mean? Like you never.
Yeah.
And I said, it was like when I was a kid, I was the youngest out of like the male cousins, and I was like the little fucking pipsqueak hanging around, and I used to cop shit, but it was like, it didn't fucking deter me wanting to be there. It didn't want to deter me. It's not like I went crying to fucking parents and shit like that, going, they're picking on me. Whereas like, I feel like even then you look at it in our generation when we were growing up, when people were doing that with you, it's mean they like you, they care about you, they're fucking with you, they're having fun with you.
Yeah.
Whereas like now, you know what I mean? I think it's like knowing your audience, who you can talk to and shit. But like in reality,
it's hard. You gotta watch what you're saying all the time. Like it's hard. And yeah, like I think I understand that it can't be like it was in the old days. And like obviously I was only training 5 years ago, but I've noticed a massive change since then. And that's not a long time. Like it's changed dramatically. Yeah, I just think.
Well, that's because I think like everything of like cancel culture and stuff like that. You know, everyone being very progressive. Like even in the world of professional wrestling, like after what happened a few years ago, now we look at it and like everyone now is like so scrutinized. Where it's like, if anyone, like I feel like now there's a certain level of like, you know what I mean? Like I think scumbags and predators and all that shit shouldn't be around any business around a magnitude of people with different, you know, backgrounds, multiculturally, sexually, whatever it may be. But like I feel now, even to sit there and have a joke with someone, like you've got to be very careful in what, you know what I mean, how you execute that joke or that punchline.
And especially in wrestling, because everyone's out protecting their own back, and you never know when someone's going to jump on a comment and be like, he said that, you know, make themselves look good. So you got to be very careful.
But that's the thing. Like, it's like people trying to find things just to call people out on, and like people to complain and stuff like that. Like, it comes to a point, bro. Like, and we were talking about this before. Like, there's people that have been upset with shit that gets said on this podcast, whether it be from me or a guest. And I have a simple philosophy, bro. Like, if you're in the business and you have a problem with something that's said on this podcast by me or anyone else, message me. We'll have a conversation like adults, or you can come on the podcast and we can talk about it for the fucking world and the whole industry to see. Like, I'm easy.
Well, that's the thing, like, and don't get me wrong with, like, the whole speaking out thing. I think it was good in a way, like, there are a lot of pieces of shit that aren't in the business anymore. But I also think, like what you're saying, like, someone hears you say something, and then they're posting about you on Twitter, and it's like, you didn't say nothing to me. You never said you had a problem with me. You never even, you were fine to my face. So, like, why didn't you say you had a problem with me? Like, just fucking say it. Like,
Because you know what it is? It's keyboard tough people that are easy to sit there, and it's like, because it's like, it's easy to confrontate and to have a confrontation over where you can sit there and you're not face to face with someone. You can sit there and you can premeditate your reply. You can take time into your reply, but when you're face to face with someone, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, that's a different level of confrontation that a lot of people are uncomfortable with.
But most times it doesn't fix the problem. It just causes shit. If you actually talk to someone, you can generally nut it out and actually come out of it better, or understanding what really happened. Because, like, there can be a comment that's misunderstood and you don't think anything of it. You don't even remember it. But someone took offense to it, and that's all they're thinking about. But if they come and talk to you, like, oh, fuck, I didn't even realize, like, I said it that way, or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of this shit can be resolved pretty easily, as just, it was a misunderstanding to start with. But
it's just sitting down and having a conversation, really. And as you said, a lot of times, it's misunderstanding where people have, like, either heard something through, like, someone else, and it's been like a Chinese whispers. By the time it gets to that person, the story's changed, like, massively to a huge magnitude where it's a completely different thing.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of people in wrestling that have ulterior motives, so they'll stir it more. Yeah, you just got to stick to your guns, and if you know you're doing the right thing, then that's fine. And call people out on their shit, and you never know. Like, they might not even know they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, but there's always, like, those people that are just, like, really socially awkward in a lot of senses, where it's like they might say something where you're like, what the hell? And it's like, but, like, to them, they're like, what was that bad? Because they just don't have that little common sense filter in their brain, or they just have no filter, or they just are oblivious to what's offensive.
Yeah, I mean, I've found it pretty hard coming into the city, because where I come from, there's a lot of crazy characters and like fucking crazy people. There's good people, but there's crazy people, and everyone's sort of just, I don't know, that's weird. Like, they get to know each other, so, like, there might be someone that's crazy for one reason, but then you actually get to know them. But if that person was in, like, most situations now, it'd be like, oh, they did this, bang, they're fucking written off. And it's like, you don't even know them.
And like, but that's where it's like, I think, in a wrestling standpoint as well, like, unless someone's done something really, really bad or said something really fucking, like, greasy and disgusting, or offensive, like, as well, like, let's look at the age of a majority of people in the Australian wrestling scene that are active wrestlers. What majority are 20 to 30 years of age, roughly?
Yeah.
Like, let's say the majority. Like, how, like, bro, I can sit here and I've said before, at 40 years of age, I can hand on my heart tell you I have said some offensive shit in my 20s. I have said some dumb shit. I've said some ignorant shit. I've said some stuff which makes me sound uneducated and a complete moron in my 20s, because I was a young person who thought I knew everything, who thought I had the answer to absolutely everything. And in reality, looking back, I didn't know shit about shit.
You know exactly. What I mean? But it's about uneducated.
Yeah, I just think, why not educate these young people and say, hey, listen, that shit's not cool.
But yeah, there definitely has been some people written off that should have been. We had one here, so it is good in that way that people are comfortable to come forward with some bad shit. And
What was the guy rid of that did some bad shit over there?
Yeah, just sort of being a creep. That's about all I'm gonna say, but yeah.
But that's the thing, man. Like, we see like females in wrestling, right? And the last few years, we've seen like women really flourish in professional wrestling from around the world, and how the wrestling culture used to be. And I've spoken to a lot of women who trained in the late 90s, early 2000s, which is like, 20 something years ago. And like, from what their experiences were around the business, how they were treated by some of the boys, where it's like so many, and they've told me like so many girls they saw come in, but the way that they would just relentlessly hit on, or like, like grabbed at, or like, just aggressively flirted with by these guys, or came onto by these guys, they felt uncomfortable and left. So like, could we have seen a women revolution in wrestling 10 years earlier?
I've seen a lot of girls, come in and leave because of that. Because they can't handle it. They can't do their best, and they can't do what they want because they're constantly crowded. Like, you can see it. You can see it in the locker room when they're just like, they look like they're under pressure because it's like boom, 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 and it's like, just leave them alone. Like, if they're here to wrestle, they will show that. If they're not, then it comes out.
Yeah, 100%. But it's like anything. It's like when guys go to like an Anytime Fitness to go and try and pick up chicks. It's like, dude, when a woman's in a gym, bro, the last thing she wants is someone to hit on her. And it's probably the same thing as wrestling training. They're there because they love the business. They want to learn the business. They're not there to pick up a dude or like to find a boyfriend or a relationship, essentially.
Yeah. Well, they want to train. They want to be wrestlers. So yeah, you definitely see it. It's definitely gotten better since I've been around, but I have seen people run off for sure.
And do you see that now? It's like you don't see that at all, that type of behavior, or do you think it's like quickly outed very quickly when it does pop up?
I just think women are more comfortable now to be like, look, I'm not fucking interested. I'm here to do this. So let me do it. I think that's more what's changing it than them getting outed, to be honest. I think women are just a lot more confident and comfortable in like the training, especially at RCW, in the training environment there, to fucking be a wrestler and not have to feel obliged to be all nice to some guy that's hitting on them. You know what I mean? Like, 100%. If they're not interested, they can just be like, look, not keen. I'm here to fucking train. So leave me alone. So
with RCW, man, how do you find like their training? Because like, to me, they are on like, not just to me, but to a lot of people, one of the top promotions in the country. Like, how have you found your journey with those guys?
I mean, I'd rate it as one of the top schools in Australia by far, but I think they're probably lacking in what every other school in Australia is lacking in, is more explaining the psychology of wrestling. Like, that shit needs to be drilled into people. I don't feel like it is anymore. I feel like it's like, let's do this spot, let's do that spot, and it's like, that's fine, but they don't understand why. Like, they really don't. And you see it. You see it in the matches. There's just two guys going through a sequence, looking at each other. You don't see them look at the crowd once. It's like they might as well just be in a room getting filmed wrestling. Like, they just, that's the one thing I think's missing at the moment in wrestling, fucking everywhere, basically. There's a lot of just matches where people are doing too much shit. They're not letting shit breathe. They're not telling a story. And And there's not much stories getting told before to lead up to these matches either. There's a lot of just matchmaking. Like, I see a lot of promotions around Australia where I'm like, they might say they have bookers, but to me, they've just got matchmakers. They're just making a card of matches, and it's like, why? Like, why is this happening? What's it leading to? There's none of that, and that pisses me off, because that's why I like wrestling. It's because of the story and the drama. Like,
that's the shit that hooks people in, man. That's the sort of shit that'll take a non-wrestling fan and turn them into a fan.
Yeah, that's right. Like, some bigger matches that I've had have been so simple, but the lead up to that match, they were hooked, and then they just bit on every single thing through the match. And it's easy. Like, it makes it easier on the wrestlers if they work that way, instead of destroying their bodies for no reason, for mediocre pops and this is awesome chants. Like, they're just doing that because they're fucking basically trained to now. Like, they don't actually care.
Do you think, Will, that's the thing where, like, some performers are doing these spots and putting these spots in motion to try and pop the audiences, to try and get like a "this is awesome" chant and fight forever chant and all the other shit that they chant?
Yeah, pretty much. And a lot of people are thinking about what reaction's going to be backstage, and that pisses me off as well, because it's like
they're trying to pop the crew.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Like, if you're doing shit in the ring that's like an inside joke backstage, you're a fucking idiot. Like, seriously. You're there for the crowd. Like, not the people backstage. Like,
the people that paid the money for the show. Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that there's just a lot of stupid shit happening in the ring. I see quite often.
Well, I think like when you start doing like insider jokes in the ring where your crowd isn't going to get it, like I think there's certain things that you could do where like when the crowd's involved, but when it's like a backstage joke and the crowd's sitting there going, "Huh? What?"
Yeah.
Then you failed.
Yeah, it drives me fucking crazy. And then they'll come back through the curtain laughing, going, "Oh, you did that." And it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What are you trying to achieve here?
But you know what the thing is? There's no repercussions from the promoters on these people, then obviously, is there? Because if there was, that shit wouldn't be tolerated.
Yeah, and I guess that comes back to people being a bit soft. Also, just I feel like some of the promoters don't take it seriously either. Like, I think we've lost the point of wrestling. Like, we really have. The point of wrestling is to make it look like a real sport. So stop doing shit. Like, I know the crowd knows that it's predetermined and choreographed, whatever you want to call it. I know that. But they want to be lost in it. So stop fucking winking at them and doing shit that's clearly fake. Like, it's just ridiculous. It pisses me off to no end. Like,
it's the kind of it's the tongue in cheek thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's oh yeah, come on, you know, like, or the little wink and stuff like that. Like, come on, like, suspend the disbelief.
Well, you see two guys in a feud, and it's meant to be like this personal feud, and then they're like in the blow-off match, and they're doing dumb shit with each other. It's like, you're meant to fucking hate each other. Like, they want to see you kill each other. Instead, you're fucking slapping each other on the ass in the ring in the crowd. Like, it's rubbish.
Even standing at the merch desk side by side having a beer together or some shit.
Yeah. I just don't understand. Like, the whole, like, and obviously, do you believe in who you are as a wrestler and what your character is if you throw it all out the window after the show and you just walking around acting like everyone's best friend? Like,
yeah, I do feel like some people who are heels and they say, yeah, I'm a complete heel even to fans after the show. Like, I feel like some of those people, you know what I mean? Like, they just want to be a dick to people and get away with it, and that's their outlet to do it. You know, hats off to you, man. But like, You know what I mean? Like when I'm doing, manager stuff and I'm a heel manager and shit like that. Like if fans after the show are coming up to me saying, "Hey man, what's up?" Like if they want a photo, I'll do the heel shit, but then I'll be like, "Yeah man, cool, thanks for coming to the show, appreciate it." You know what I mean? Like I'm not standing there being like an Uber baby face or whatever, but I'm like, you know what I mean? Like the show's over, thanks for coming, I appreciate you spending the money to watch.
I just think you're almost better off ignoring them as a heel out of the ring if you're gonna have back and forths with them and like throw jabs at each other at the merch table or something. Then that fan goes, "Oh, he's actually a good guy. He just plays a bad guy." And like, I'm not saying I haven't been guilty of that. I've been guilty of every bad thing in wrestling, like doing dumb shit. I did a lot of dumb shit when I started, comedy crap as a heel. And I look back on it and I'm like, why did no one tell me to stop? Like, it was just stupid. And that come back to like trying to pop the boys. And it's like, it's just a waste of time.
But that's the thing about maturing and learning from it as well and gaining that experience where now you can sit there and like after 5 years in the business go like, yeah, that's stupid. Or if a promoter says, "Hey, I need you to go out there and like hit X, Y, and Z points," you can sit there and go, "Well, no, that doesn't make sense. A, for my character, or B, for the situation."
Exactly. And I think when you've been wrestling for a while, you start sort of saying no, which is important, but you need to explain why. And quite often people will agree with you and they've just had an oversight.
Which happens, man. Which happens in a creative outlet,
Yeah, other people will sit there and be like, "Oh, I fucking don't want to do this, rah." So, well, fucking go tell them. Go say you don't want to do this and why, and how you're going to do it differently to make it right. And I guarantee you'll either come to an agreement that's somewhere in the middle, or they'll probably agree with you half the time. Like, yeah.
Because sometimes, a lot of time on show day, a lot of stuff is happening, a lot of stuff is going around. And especially like bigger shows, there's even more shit going on. So it's like little shit sometimes like that can get a little bit mixed, lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. Most of the time when I talk to a booker about something they want that I don't agree with, it always gets resolved. And it's generally just an oversight because they got so much shit going on. Like, the world doesn't revolve around you.
Exactly.
So bring it to their attention that you don't think that it makes sense to do this. And they might go, "Oh, yeah, actually it doesn't," because you've explained why it doesn't make sense. Whereas they're not even thinking about it. Like, they don't give a fuck about you, really, at the end of the day. Like, you're just another wrestler.
Yeah, you're another person on the show.
"Oh my God, like I'm going to sit down for 5 hours and think about how this is going to make sense for Down Under." No, they're not. So
they're thinking what's going to be the most entertaining show possible for me to make the most amount of money. As simple as that.
Basically, yeah.
But who, like looking at like in South Australia, like who do you think would be like the top? Like how many feds are there in SA? Like I know there's Rampage, I know there's RCW. Is there any other like feds running around there? Like is there smaller feds? Like what's the situation over in SA?
Well, we've got 5 feds. We got Wrestle Rampage, RCW, ACW, PWSA, which used to be Snake Pit, and Power Slam, which used to be Australian Wrestling All Stars, I think. They are the 5 real promotions with real wrestlers. Any other shit you see is garbage. And while we're on it, I might as well drop some shit right now.
Let's do it.
So there is a startup promotion in SA. They are basically guys that haven't wrestled before, guys that have had a few matches and call themselves wrestlers but haven't wrestled for ages. They're running a training school, which is a fucking load of shit. It's literally they put a picture up the other day training this fucking child in a park next to a playground. Like that's what they're doing. Like, it's fucking wrong. One of their guys has stolen my name. He's changed all his socials to the Outback Legend. I messaged him about changing it. Well, I told him to change it. He wouldn't. He said that I stole his gimmick, and he's been doing it since 2009, which is a load of shit. He's had like fucking 5 matches in 15 years. And he's their head trainer. Yeah, it's a joke. Basically, the problem I see with this is that, so we've got those 5 promotions, and I want so if a fan sees a poster down the street and it says wrestling, and they go, oh, I used to like wrestling, or oh, I like wrestling, okay, I'll go to that show. That show needs to be good, because they don't give a fuck what the name of the promotion is, who you are. They just see wrestling.
100%.
So they go, and that show needs to be good. Because if it's not, say they'll see an RCW poster in a couple of weeks. So like, I'm not going to that. That's that shit Adelaide wrestling. They think it's all the same. Like, yeah, we have our diehards, but they're always going to be there. You got to build. And when someone comes into a show for the first time, they need to be left with a good impression. So what's going to happen is people are going to see advertisements for this garbage. They're going to go, and they're never going to come to a show again.
100%.
Then one of their guys that is supposedly the co-owner basically made it personal. He's commented on my shit. He's gone, oh, I only need to say 2 words, Tomby Automotive, which was my old business. And it's like, what are you trying to say? And he's calling me a failure. And it's like, dude, in 12 months, I turned over 180 grand. That's more than you're going to make on the dole in your whole fucking life. So shut your mouth. They comment on everything. Just shitting on everyone.
I feel like when you start going into like personal shit, you know what I mean? Like, and you're taking personal jabs, like, bro, fair enough. Like, you know what I mean? There's beef between you and them. They can say shit about you, but like, you know what I mean? Going into and bringing in your real life shit, or like bringing in your girl or your family or whatever, like, bro, that's bitch shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry to say it, but like, that's bitch shit on their behalf, because it's like, if there's an issue, just fucking like say something, man. Like, I feel like from what you told me, you approached this other guy with a bit of respect and saying, hey, this is my gimmick, you're stealing my shit, you know, change it. And like, you basically got told to get lost.
Yeah, well, he said, are you threat? No, he said, is that a threat? And I said, no threat, because I can guarantee what he'd do if I said that it was a threat. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I've got a guy, I'm just going to put it out there. There's a guy called Blake Mitchell, basically in Adelaide in the wrestling scene. Everyone knows he's a scumbag. He's fucked so many people over. And I'm going to tell you a story that's pretty entertaining to my detriment. I think I'd had about 6 or 7 matches. It was pretty early on in my career. And I got offered, there was this kid, he was like 18 years old. And what he does is he'll latch onto him, run a promotion with him, and suck him dry, and then leave. So that's what was happening. It was Australian Wrestling Revolution. They put on a few decent shows. They had some decent names. They were paying guys. It was run decently, reasonably professionally. And they wanted me to do a show in Mount Gambier, which is about 400 k's from Adelaide. So it's like a country show sort of thing. So I went up there with 8 guys. From the get-go, the promoter, I won't name him because I feel sorry for him, because he did just get fucked over by Blake, basically. And Blake was the booker. So I got asked to drive all the boys up in a van. He said, I've got a van down at this industrial area. It's all set up, ready to go. I'll put a fuel card in there. Well, not a fuel card. I'll put a bank card in there, like a credit card. Yeah. Pay for fuel, drive the boys up there. And I said, no worries. I can do that. So we get there. It's 42 degrees. This fucking van has holes all around the edge of the roof. Like, the roof's about to fucking come off. Like, the guttering is rusted out completely. It's got no aircon. I get in there, half the seats have been ripped out, so guys would have had to be sitting on the floor. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I messaged this promoter and I said, this bullshit, we can't take this. This is where I should have, I was naive.
Yeah.
This is where I should have said, fuck this.
100%.
But instead, I said, right, we've got a few cars here. We'll drive up there in a few cars. I'll take my car. And we'll take that card to pay for fuel. He's like, okay, no worries, do that. So we drive out of Adelaide. We get to Tail and Bend, which is about 100 k's or so out of Adelaide. Fill up my car, fill up the other cars. Card declines.
This is like the ultimate Carney story. I love it.
Dude, it gets so much worse.
Yeah.
So I messaged him. I said, there's no money on this card. He's like, oh, sorry. Can you pay for it and I'll pay you back when I pay you your booking fee? Once again, naive. I said, yes.
That's why you saw my reaction and you like had to say that.
So we drove the rest of the way. We got there. Now, I don't know how to say this without being offensive, but he had got some fans that are not the smartest, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And he had made them drive up there to put the ring up. He wasn't there. The Booker Blake wasn't there. And I didn't know this till we got there. So Alex, the ref, I said, where are they? He's like, oh, they're not coming. So we're doing this show. A heap of guys basically with fuck all experience apart from the ref by ourselves. In this showgrounds, we had to organise everything, and these fans had set up the ring terribly. It was a flexi beam ring, and it was set up like this down a hill, so it was like bumping on concrete. We were bumping out on the grass most of the time, but we did it. We did the show. Then we were looking for where we were going to stay because he'd organised us accommodation. He's not answering. He finally answers the ref. We find this place. It's absolute shithole, like dilapidated thing. I don't know how he organised this. So we set up our shit, and then those same 6 or 8 fans rock up and go, oh, we're staying here. The promoters told us that we're staying here.
Oh.
And I'm
what
like,
a slimy fuck.
And I'm like, I don't want to say no to these people. Like, they've got nowhere to stay. They've already been taken complete advantage of.
Yeah.
They were very easily persuaded, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So we stay there. It fucking pissed down with rain that night. And they were meant to tarp the ring off. We get back there in the morning. It's waterlogged. Like, completely waterlogged. Oh, and mind you, this whole time, from the time we got there, the promoter and the booker, Blake Mitchell, had ghosted us. They would not answer calls, messages, nothing. So we get there, and they're making the money off this show, and they're not even there. We get there next day. The ring is waterlogged. Like, it actually had a puddle in the middle. It was fucked. Like, you could not work in it. And I said, like, this is bullshit. I've had enough. I said, we're going home. Like, I don't care if we've got another day of wrestling to do. Like, they've brought this on themselves.
Fucking nice, yeah.
Funnily enough, about 20 k's out of Mount Gambier, they both start calling because they'd got a call from the show saying that we'd all left. So then what Blake said about 20 times was, I wrestled our snow in the rain. I wrestled our snow in the rain. I wrestled our snow in the rain. I said, I don't give a fuck if you wrestled Hulk Hogan in the rain. You guys have ghosted us completely. The ring, you cannot work in that ring. It's fucked. Like, it's so bad. Like, this is torrential rain. Anyway, he fully cracked the shit. Oh, you'll never be booked again with us. He's talking to the ref. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'll take the heat for everyone. I'll be the one that said we are leaving.
Yeah.
So yeah, never got that fuel money, surprisingly enough.
Did you get any money from that show?
Yeah, $40.
That's a fucking shit pay for a big drive for a show, man.
It was $20 a day. So he still paid me for the day we didn't work, so that's good.
That's wild. But like, how, like, and is this person like Blake Mitchell still in the business? Like, are they still connected to it some way?
That he's in this promotion I'm talking about now.
Like, is this him carrying on like the beef now from back then? Like, is this the start of the beef between the two of you?
He's had nothing to do with this beef, but he's involved with this promotion that's going to make South Australian wrestling look like horse shit. So I've been waiting a long time to tell that story.
That's a
I've told it plenty, but not in a public forum. But I don't give a shit.
But have they like tried to try and reach out to some like because like bro, South Australia has a lot of talented wrestlers there. Have they like been in contact with? You know what I mean? I don't want to start listing names, but like
they've been in contact with a lot of people, but people just won't do it. Or people will ask for $500-$600 booking fees because they know it's not going to happen. And if they did accept that offer, then he'd be stupid not to. But yeah,
man, jeez, how is this? How are people like this even able to operate? Like,
dude, I don't know how he can be seen in the wrestling scene and not feel like he's going to get his head caved in by so many people, because there are so many people that he's fucked over. Like, I mean, he's fucked over everyone. Like, at all different stages of the game, but they're not my stories to tell. But
100%. But I almost find like it's, you know, in the wrestling, and you hear the stories of these wild, crazy promoters and the carnies and all this sort of stuff, and you kind of feel like, for the most part, in the current like climate of professional wrestling, you don't hear a great deal.
Yeah. Dude,
that's
as that trip was unfolding, I'm literally living a story that I've read in every old wrestler's autobiography. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? It just got worse and worse and worse, and like, it was unbelievable.
But I feel like every wrestler has to have like one of those experiences in their career to tell.
Yeah. Look, the reason why I'm burying him so hard is because they made shit personal with me. They stole my name. Otherwise, I wouldn't even talk about it. Like, I wouldn't call them out on it. I'd let them go do their thing. It's going to be detrimental to everyone, but I wouldn't be burying him so hard. But guess what? Poke the ball. They done it to themselves.
Fuck, fair enough, man. Like, you know, I don't think you really held back there. And, you know, look, you know what I mean? Like, it just sounds like this promotion is not really destined for a lot of great things, let's be honest. You know, but, you know,
we just don't need them setting it back another 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, Australian wrestling, especially in South Australia, it's at such a good level now. And it's been built, like, by everyone's hard work, like all the older guys. Like, you got people like Havoc. He's been around for like 21 years or something. Like, you're shitting on all of his work. People like that. Rocky Monero, Johnny Raddick, like all the actual guys that did this shit properly, got trained properly, and had respect for the business.
It's sad, but, you know, I think that there's always going to be that element. It's like, you know, when you see these guys in America like doing wrestling in Instagram and like hitting RKOs and stuff in like a Walmart and stuff like that, and I'm just like you know what I mean? Like, you're fans, all right? You're just fans being fans, acting out. Like, but like some of these people, like I've seen people like these people do podcasts and they're like, yeah, I'm a wrestler. I go and wrestle in front of like, I'm like, no, you were no, boo, you were not, brother. Like, I'm sorry, you were not a wrestler. You were just a stunt man, an amateur wannabe stunt man at the best of it. Like, let's be real.
Yeah. It's so frustrating when new fans are going to see it. And it's so detrimental.
But
And
that's the thing but that's the thing. I feel like those sort of shows, they usually get people like turning up to them, and it's usually other workers just to see the car wreck in a lot of times.
oh, I would love to go just to see how shit it is, but I refuse to support it at the same time.
Oh, I look, but imagine like bad wrestling being filmed, put out there to the world, and it being called Australian wrestling, and it being so bad that the
That's
whole
the
world
problem.
knows.
That's the problem right there. Someone will just look up Australian wrestling in YouTube and they see that shit. Or they might see good stuff, but it's still there, you know. And like, I see it happening in other states too, but I can only sort of try to stop it here. Like, look after my own backyard. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
100%. I completely agree with you on that one, man. But it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 Seconds with Piers. How this is going to work, we've got a bunch of questions. We're going to fire it down under, and he has basically 60 seconds to answer as many as he can for as quick as he can. So, mate, are you ready to get the ball rolling?
Sure.
All right, we'll get it going. Ready, let's go. Now, which reality show would you rather appear on? Farmer Wants a Wife or The Bachelor?
Farmer wants a wife because I actually could do that.
What's the funniest thing to happen to you recently?
I can't put my finger on it. Next,
If
next.
you were to release an album, what genre of music would it be?
Metal.
What would you rather fight 2 horse-sized ducks or 100 duck-sized horses?
2 horse-sized ducks.
Okay. If you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
Funny, angry.
What is the shittest gift you have ever received?
The shittest and the best was this Christmas because you know the meme about Lynx Africa
Yeah.
sets? I've never had one ever, and I fucking got one this year. I was so happy.
That's epic. Okay. What has been your proudest moment in the ring?
Probably my match with Iron Arthur Strange in my hometown in Tumby Bay. That was pretty crazy.
You're the lead singer of a band and get to go on tour with them for 6 months. Which band do you choose?
Iron Maiden.
Which celebrity was your first crush?
Paris Hilton.
And last one, in 5 minutes' time, you are being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
My dogs. And some beer.
Mate, there you go. He's got dogs and some beer that he's taken out of space. That's been 60 Seconds with Piers. Down Under, bro. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's been a great conversation. I feel like this hour has just sort of really flown. I think we definitely have to do a part 2 down the track.
Yeah, man, there's so much shit we didn't talk about.
Dude, there's a ton more that we got to do. So we definitely going to do a part 2. But where can everyone find you on social media and follow the real Down Under?
Facebook, Down Under Professional Wrestler. Instagram, Down Under Pro Wrestler, I think. I'm on Twitter as well. Don't really post on that. I don't understand it. Yeah, that's it.
No worries. And I end every podcast, with this question. What is the one question I didn't ask you in this interview that you wish I did ask you? And how would you have answered that question?
Favorite opponent?
And your favorite opponent was?
Probably Axel Impact. Not many people know him. He was the PWSA mainstay from, I think he debuted at like 16 or something ridiculous. He's just so natural. Like, just easy. You just work on the fly with him, and just it was smooth.
It sounds like an amazing question I should have answered, but asked. But look, we are going to do a part 2 down the line. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for everyone who tuned in and watched or listened on one of the podcast platforms. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, click the link down below, hit the bell to stay notified and tap in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure you hit that 5-star review. It helps us bring these amazing conversations to more people. So get to clicking, and we're going to get to exiting. Till next time, take care. All the best. Peace.